Today I learned that in 2003, MTV aired an adult cartoon called Clone High which features clones of historical figures in high school. It was cancelled after one season because it caused mass protest in India and even hunger strikes over its portrayal of Gandhi as a party animal. Say what? Say what? No bro, sa I. What? For supper I wanna party plata. Only seen the show once and I quote those all the time. Hey there, what's your hurry? Throw some ums and ers and us in there. The moon, he's chasing me. Everywhere I go, there he is. Knock it off moon. I'm sad to see they're still apologizing for the Gandhi thing. They never should have in the first place. It was funny and in the context really isn't that offensive. I mean, look how Family Guy portrays Jesus or even South Park, and no one cares, and that's the god of the whole religion. Gandhi was just a dude, there's no reason why parodying him should be off the table. A dude who condemned his wife to an unnecessary death as well. Didn't he disown his gay son? The same man who shared a bed with underage girls to test his will? That reads like something straight from To Catch a Predator. Why are you here today? To test my strength of character, and I succeeded. But we have his chat logs. Nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedys. Crash. I'm a Kennedy, I'm not accustomed to tragedy. My abs are so firm you could grate cheese on them. Joan of Arc was a mopey goth chick who felt out of place. Abe Lincoln was constantly unsure of himself and his ability to speak in public. JFK was a jock. Cleopatra was a mean girl. Really was a funny and nuanced show, but the fucking Gandhi thing killed a good thing / so many great intelligent jokes. There is one where the students are asking each other out to prom in ever-increasing elaborate means. Clone Henry VIII is in a helicopter asking Anne Boleyn, will you go to prom with? And the helicopter blades cuts off her head. Then the helicopter flies over and we hear Catherine of Aragon, will you go to? Hilarious. The portrayal of Marie Curie was by far the most offensive emo. Today I learned a man was arrested because he was pissed off at Bank of America for freezing his account leaving him penniless, that he placed a bag of his own urine and fish bait to rot into their safety deposit box as a form of justice. The guy ended up going to prison for grand larceny a few years later, so I think we all know who the real winner is here then. Society? No. The fish in the pee bag. I worked for McDonald's my final years of HS. There was this homeless guy who smelled so bad, customers would complain. He'd come in for water and we'd give it to him as long as he left. This guy got increasingly demanding. He wanted water, free food, and was pretty rude about it. The manager gave him stuff every once in a while so he'd leave. It wasn't worth it to argue to keep him away from customers. Then the homeless guy started hanging out, being loud, and a general nuisance. The manager asked him to leave and he wouldn't. It escalated and the police were involved. He left before they arrived. This is when the shit started to go down. Literally. Every week, this filthy monster would come and lay the biggest shit on the floor. He'd do it and then leave. And guess who was called to clean it? Me. I was the poor fuck who had to clean it and smell it so customers didn't have to. All this to say that whatever this asshole was doing, his mission for retribution for not getting his way, right or wrong, I paid for it. I was just the new guy who washed dishes, cooked the food, and cleaned people's shit. I'm not saying the guy in the article was not wrong, but he's not getting sympathy from me because there's a regular person without fault doing all the cleaning. Exactly. People who have never worked retail or fast food have no idea the consequences of their actions. No Karen, asking why the food is taking so long is not going to make your order appear faster. Homeless man thinks the manager is going to get the message about his shit, yet all they do is shrug and have the new guy go take care of it. Maybe the homeless guy should start shitting on the manager's car. Today I learned scientists trained 17 rats to drive tiny cars. Each rat stood on the aluminum floor of the car and gripped copper bars with their paws to complete a circuit to propel the car. By touching left/center/right on the bar, rats could steer to pick up rewards of Fruit Loops morsels in the arena. I saw this when it was new. What I found most entertaining was that after a while, the rats enjoyed driving themselves around even without rewards. Yeah, that's what I've been telling all my friends for the last month or so. Recent research has shown that given the choice, rats will choose to drive tiny cars. It's one of the best among the small amount of great news in recent times lol. Recent research has shown that given the choice, rats will choose to drive tiny cars. I love it. This is obvious. If scientists discover an animal that would prefer not to drive tiny cars, I'd be impressed. Elephants. Elephants don't like tiny cars. Or rats. More details. The video in the article shows the rats driving at 0:51. If you wanted to jump to a video on YouTube that starts with the rats driving, go here. 6 female and 11 male rats were trained to drive the car in rectangular arenas up to 4 square meters. Researcher Kelly Lambert at the University of Richmond in Virginia and her team incentivized the rats to advance their driving skills. Fruit Loops rewards were placed at increasingly distant points around the arena. They learned to navigate the car in unique ways and engaged in steering patterns they had never used to eventually arrive at the reward, said Lambert. Learning to drive also seemed to relax the rats. The researchers assessed this by measuring levels of 2 hormones, corticosterone, a marker of stress, and dihydroepiandrosterone, which counteracts stress. The ratio of dihydroepiandrosterone to corticosterone in the rats' feces increased over the course of their driving training. The team also found that rats who drove themselves had higher dihydroepiandrosterone levels and were less stressed than rats who were driven around as passengers in remote-controlled cars. How would teaching rats to drive benefit humans? Researchers could potentially replace traditional maze tests with more complex driving tasks when using rat models to study neuropsychiatric human conditions. For example, rat driving tests could be used to study the effects of Parkinson's disease on motor skills/spatial awareness. Now add tiny mounted machine guns and rockets and make one look like an ice cream truck. Army rats versus insurgent rats. Now that would be a valuable use of researcher time and money. And so begins the rat wars to solve issues between countries. Flash forward to 3020, our rat overlords, who overthrew the human species for dominance after all the intercontinental marines were entrusted with power armor hosting a rogue military AI, are experiencing a concerning pandemic when one of the more wealthy ones contracted a new contagion whilst eating airline pilots. Now have them complete a maze. That's the goal. To do a maze test, in tiny cars. What if the maze only has left turns and you make all the rats do it at the same tiny? We can sell ad space on their tiny cars. Imagine having that job. Someone you just met. So, what do you do for a living? You, I'm an experimental behavioral psychologist. Them, so what does that entail? You, I teach rats to drive cars. Little tiny cars, with jars on top. Vroom vroom. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you have a similar story, share it in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. Have a great day, or night.